Welcome everybody to the Resilience Initiative. This is a really humbling moment as we learn from somebody whose experiences give us the opportunity to reflect, learn, grow, and uncover our own strengths and insights to be able to live our best lives. I am with Annabel Quintero, and it is so wonderful to have you here today, Annabel. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
This is a really exciting opportunity, as I said, to learn from somebody whose experience is going to uncover so many opportunities for our growth. For those not familiar with the incredible background of this amazing person in front of us, Annabel is a certified wellness coach, a best-selling author, and DEI strategist, also known as a cultural wellness coach, which brings a great diversity of understanding, capacity for both empathic impact, but really deep understanding of the diversity of the lives that we lead and the experiences that we have. Her best-selling book, Step by Step Jump, is a story of hope, dedicating to helping others transform trauma to triumph. And there is no one better to share this journey, not only because of her experiences, but her insights and what she brings to the learning table around that process. Annabel's life was irrevocably altered, as many of us know and remember this time, on September 11, 2001, when she narrowly escaped from the 46th floor of the World Trade Center during the deadliest terror attack on US soil. This experience shaped her life and shapes this conversation that we are going to have today. When you walk down the path of your own challenges and adversity, you want to talk with somebody who has walked a path before you to gain their insights, their knowledge, their wisdom, so your steps may be easier. As the founder of her own personal development and collective wellness company, Annabel is devoted to leading wellness workshops that go beyond physical appearance, but actually redefine wellness by using different cultural lenses. As a result of her speaking and workshops, she helps leaders and coaches embrace a holistic approach to wellness, resulting in sustainable lifestyle changes. And that is an imperative of today's day and age. Annabel partners with coaches and leaders to understand the financial, political, and spiritual history that informed our present moment and how cultural dominance is discreetly perpetuated. And as a result of her workshops, you will personally develop and have a diverse cultural conscious awakening, which is a true gift in a world where we often have our own narrow perspectives that limit not only our own healing, but the healing of our cultures, of our humanity. Leaders redefine culture and wellness and begin to take steps to contribute to our collective cultural wellness after learning from this amazing thought leader with us. Annabel is truly an evolutionary monument to the fallen, a lifelong B-girl, advocate, DEI advisor, speaker, best-selling author, and certified holistic coach. And for me, somebody who's going to gift you a powerful breakthrough here today. So I'm so humbled, so appreciative, and incredibly excited. Thank you, Annabel. I really appreciate you being here with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'd love to welcome everyone. I'd love to share the screen with you. Welcome to the Resilience Initiative. Today, I'll be talking about how you can transform trauma to triumph by step-step jumping into your cultural blind spots. So, how does the society really define resilience? Currently, it's really the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and to spring back. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was how resilience is always evolving. To consider that most springbacks really come from necessity. And to always think about those communities and most people do not have options most of the time to heal. And so our resilience becomes performative. Some groups, people of color, women, those part of the pride community, don't have many options and have to show up. As we think about our veterans and first responders, they're in a perpetual cycle of trauma. And so resiliency in many times becomes performative and their duty, but we have to also think about how much space are we giving them to truly heal and not just think that the spring back we see is that, oh, they're fine, but to truly consider other layers that they need to go through so that they can contribute and continue to contribute to our collective wellness. You see, what we see in our society is something traumatic happens, a life-altering event. For us right now, collectively, it's the pandemic. But we all have the divorce, the diagnosis, losing someone that we love. And at first, the first thing is the shock, processing it, right? And then we see that as we process the shock, that we just are reacting to our triggers. Our nervous system is overloaded, and we do not respond, we just react. Then we go into this mode of showing up no matter what. And this is where our resiliency looks like we're doing a good job, looks like we're functional, but it's just showing up to pay the bills, to survive. And then the inevitable happens. We end up self-medicating. That could be food, that could be alcohol, it could be drugs, whether prescribed or not prescribed. And so this, in some ways, I wanted to share is this opaque, this functional resiliency that society has allowed us to feel like, okay, they're resilient. They went through this moment or they're going through this moment, but they're fine. So what I'd like to propose is and share that my resiliency journey I call a healing evolution. You see, there's so many times that I would love to share stories of, as a young adult, going from my hometown from Seattle to New York to pursue my dreams, or having the audacity to run for public office for a state Senate seat in Washington. But there was always one story I could never share. And that came in front of an audience. I stood on stage and shared with everyone that I'm a September 11th survivor. Step, step, jump, step, step, jump. That morning, it was a beautiful Tuesday morning. It was so sunny. And like all things, when you're modeling and dancing with hip hop's finest and also working at a boutique hedge fund, you tend to stay up on a Monday night. I was guilty of that. I woke up late, got to the office, and was mortified because my boss's sweater was on the chair. So I hurried up and turned on the computers because it was my job to make sure that he was ready for the stock market when that bell rang. So I'm there reading my paper, and all of a sudden I feel something fall on my building. And I'm like, and I swayed in my chair, and I'm like, what was that? So I run to the window, and I was like, something must have fallen on my building. And I look, and it's sunny, and all the buildings are fine. And then all of a sudden, I feel this earthquake. And I grab and I run my purse. I get my purse and my sweater, and I get to the door just to be confronted with this man's fright coming from his eyes. The building rumbles again, and he leaves, and that door slams on me. And like we all do in those moments, I was like, ay Dios mío, ¿qué hago? Dear God, what do I do? You know, I was thinking, okay, I can go under the desk and take cover because it's an earthquake, but there were boxes, there was no space for me. And then I looked up, and the beautiful sunshine was gone, and the office just turned a muted gray. And I had asked the universe, what should I do? And I saw, and I felt, this is no place for the living. And I thought to myself, but I'm supposed to stay at work. I shouldn't leave the building. And I came up with all these reasons why I shouldn't go. And then this voice said, Annabelle, you have to try to go. Leave this building, even if you die trying. And I had to face my biggest fear of not being able to live. And at that moment, I realized, okay, I have to go. And as I went, that hallway swayed. I was being thrown around like a doll in a funhouse. I get to the stairwell and I can't feel if the doorknob is hot or cold. And I knew from my training, don't open the door if the doorknob is hot. There might be a fire on the other side. And I stopped myself and I breathed. I said, just breathe and be here. Be in this moment. Is it hot? Is it cold? And then I could tell it was cold. I opened that door and then this insidious stench just started choking me. There's a fire, I thought to myself. So with all my might, I knew I had to get out of there. And I put my hand on the railing and I stepped with my left and I stepped with my right and I jumped on the landing and I step, jump, and I step, jumped down 46 flights. I made it to solid ground. I was able, Anthony shared the cab with me. And each step, each block by block, I just continued to fall apart with grief, with not understanding how could my beloved place, the symbol of power and prestige, just crumble to the ground. And so today, I want to share this journey with you of how did I live through this traumatic day? And how did I get through my PTSD? And how did I evolve my healing and really go through the layers of resiliency? You see, I knew I needed help. So yes, I prayed and I cried and I got a therapist and it helped me. It helped me to get through. But there was another part that was missing. The healing of my body. You see, I knew that I was so triggered. And I was like, I couldn't control myself. And I knew I needed to understand, why am I like this? Why can't I control myself? And even though I had had glimpses of meditating 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, I knew I needed more. So I went back to my hometown. I left New York and went back to Seattle, back to my trees and mountains, and decided I'm going to do a 10-day Vipassana meditation. And there I went deeper. I learned the 3 pillars of human behavior. How the story in my mind and the memory of pain would bring up all these emotions. And then I was able to watch the dynamic. Oh, all these bodily sensations come up. Oh, this fire that when I'd be so angry with rage for feeling so abandoned and left alone. And how that dynamic, those 3 things created my human behavior, because I would just react. But as every day as I was in that meditation hall, I was able to watch, to observe. And for the first time in my life, I realized I can just watch in silence and do nothing. I don't have to send the email. I don't have to pick up the phone. I don't have to have that conversation that I'm not ready for having. That was eye-opening to me. In a society where we are told we always have to respond, in a society that tells us you have to show up all the time. How many of us have wished that we waited to pick up the phone. Any hands? That was just everything for me. And so in that 10-day meditation, in this healing modality that we are able to learn from our Eastern cultures that have this ancient wisdom, this ancient modality, I was able to learn that the healing evolution for growing our resiliency really comes first by acknowledging our trigger and trauma. We have to actually acknowledge that we have something going on. That is the first step. Then we go to practicing self-awareness, practicing self-reflection. And this could be through the meditation, mindfulness practice, or also through journaling. We can identify these patterns by writing down the story. Then write down your emotions. What comes up when you're writing this, when this situation comes up and you're writing about it? What emotions are coming up? And then observe. Don't forget your body. Write about where are you feeling heat, coldness, tension? Where are you feeling tingly feelings, goosebumps? That allows you to identify your pattern. And lastly, the third step is to take new action. For me, it was observing and choosing to create more space between my pattern and taking any action. Taking new action is really how we go out of our comfort zone and actually create a new layer of our evolution and our resiliency, contributing more to our collective wellness. So after this 10-day meditation, I felt like I had this great understanding of how I worked. And in a society that puts so much emphasis on our mind, one of the things that's important is to know our body never forgets. And so I was invited to participate in a sweat lodge, which is an indigenous practice, an indigenous ceremony. And I didn't grow up. I mean, I'm Latina, I'm a multiracial, we're a multiracial ethnic group. We're African, Native American, and European. And I grew up Christian. I had no idea what a sweat lodge was. Our African and indigenous cultures are not centered in our Latino identity. And so I went anyways because my body needed to heal. So in a society that always has our body following our head, and our head is erratic, we have all these thoughts, and our body just tends to follow along, allow moments where your body is leading. Make your body experience a priority because there is so much wisdom from your body. So I had gone to Lakota Sweat Lodge, and I learned how to be in right relationship, how to be respectful, how to enter this. It was almost like an igloo made with willow trees, and it had blankets, and there was a fire outside, and we kneeled and we were one with Mother Earth. And there was the drum. It was like the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And as my dear friend Carolyn had poured water on the hot rocks, and the steam came, and the prayers and the drum, I felt all my grief, all my guilt for surviving, all my sorrow, all the anger and angst and anxiety. And Mother Earth had actually taken it and transmuted it. I didn't even know that was possible. I mean, if she would have told me that before, I wouldn't have believed her. I had always been an environmentalist. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, but I never really knew Mother Earth is alive. And after she had healed my body, I was like, wow, how can I give back to Mother Earth? How can we all learn? You see, and I realized something, that humans, we only do two things. We create ideas and we create babies. Everything else is given to us from Mother Earth. We may change it, we may shapeshift it, but it comes from her. So what are we doing? And I share this because so much of this ancient medicine is not just for us to just take it and create some new theory. It's not just us to co-opt it in a new psychology and call it bioengineering, biohacking, right? That's what we tend to call somatic healing. I share it because I've had teachers, Carolyn Hartness, Dr. Rosa Mesa, Mary Lou Shin, Linnea Grandmother Moonwalker. These have been my teachers who have helped me to be able to heal from these ancient medicines. And so I share them with you now so that you can also honor the people that have these ancient medicines that can still serve us today and serve all of the world right now. A way that I continued with my healing of my body, those two experiences all happened within a couple months. September 11th, I had gone to my trees in my mountains in the Pacific Northwest in November, and all that had happened within about 3 months. And I came back to New York. And so after you do retreats or do somatic healing, how can you keep it up? How can you have a daily ritual for it? One of the ways is touching your body. So after you take a shower, I make these body oils. You can get any body oil and put it all over your skin, touching your body, right? Because for me, that's all I had. I barely escaped. And all I had was my vessel, myself, and this skin and this body. And it is enough. And sometimes every day we need to be reminded, this is all I need. I have everything I need. I am enough. So touching your whole body. The other thing is journaling. Write these 3 things down when you journal. Write the story in your mind. Write what's happening emotionally, and write what's happening in your body. That allows you to really identify patterns. Also, once you have those patterns, once you know all these things that are happening, whether you can do a retreat or not, or have the honor of experiencing a sweat lodge or a tamuscal, as they say in Mexico, move your body. Dancing helped me so much. And music, we are a vibration. We forget we're energy. We are a vibration. And then hearing the music and dancing, and that is just, from my African ancestors, me dancing, I break dance when I was angry and full of rage and upset. And then sometimes I would sway with the cumbia, the merengue, and whatever you like. But we need to move our body to move out and shake that energy out. We have to get it out of our bodies, and we have to be responsible for that and do it on a daily basis. So I hope that this whole journey of how I step jumped into my own cultural blind spots has also served you. If you're ready to go on a journey of storytelling or dancing, feel free to reach out for me. And I hope this serves you and your layers of resiliency, that you get the honor to move through and grow through this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Um, that was beautiful and very insightful. The first thing I just really want to say to everybody is, one, in the playbook, Annabelle's details are there. You can access the book, a profound and touching read. You can reach out to contact and find out more about her, because what you have just heard is an answer to questions that many of you will have, that this event has in fact brought you to, which is, how do I get past what I'm experiencing to live the life that I want to have? And really, I'd love to take you on a journey, Annabelle, if I can, about uncovering these answers as we do. The first thing I want to say, other than expressing my profoundest gratitude and my love for the journey you've been on, so that you can bring your story to serve others. So I want to acknowledge and appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
When you said, and I think this is so profound as a beginning point, most spring back comes from necessity. And I wrote that down, and then I wrote a but, because when we use the word but negates the words that go before when we are conscious of our language. And I deliberately wrote the word but there, because without options, most people, most of the time, don't actually heal. And when you spoke about that, the functional resilience, that, you know, we have our shock, we react to the triggers, and then you said we show up because to what matters most. I really want to pause there. We just show up because we have to. We've got jobs, we've got responsibilities, we've got commitments. We just show up. And then, and this is a truth that I think can be shocking, yet is simultaneously liberating and healing, that we self-medicate, whether it be food, alcohol, drugs, prescription or non-prescription, whether it be numbing ourselves with TV, whether it be denying the reality of the pain that we've gone through. We just have to get through, so we do, but at the expense of connecting with ourselves, with the pain that is there, that is stored in the memory of our tissue. And when you said that, it became so profound in terms of me as a practitioner and me as hosting some of the incredible conversations that have taken place here, talking and speaking on resilience, how to build that strength, how to have the capacity to make choices in the face of adversity, challenge, and difficulty. But this is something more. This is, as you said, a healing evolution, which is transcending that, moving beyond, so that we can be liberated from that and no longer just need to push through or bounce back or be more in the face of problems. It's actually, and as you said, be enough that you may center with yourself, with Mother Earth, with whatever it is that brings you to that connection point, to allow true healing to take place, not just pushing through so I can function in the presence of an unhealed, unresolved state. Have I understood deeply enough to pass this message on to everyone watching here, that there is a difference between pushing through, getting by, strong enough to fight against your own urges, but then to come into that space of healing? Is this the profound, for me, as I hear and understand this, the message you have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that to wallow in our emotions, you have to take time for them. Uh, there is, when I said I was triggered, oh my goodness, talk about being emotional, right? And society, if you think about work, to be professional, it's almost like we have to cut off our emotions in professional spaces. We're in school. Okay, children, it's time to learn, forget what's happening emotionally to you. And so we have been conditioned in that way. And we no longer, I think, anyone globally, I don't think we can continue being humans with those old paradigms informing those places. We're beyond that now. Now we know I'm a human. I have emotions, and if I don't deal with them, we're all going to pay for them, whether it's our family, our community, the company, our society. And so definitely us taking the time, and it's uncomfortable. It's not easy. It's inner work. It's, as my indigenous teachers call it, shadow work. It's work you do on that you don't really want people to know. I mean, it took me 20 years to share my story. I've been healing. I've been evolving my healing. I've made it my task to understand myself in this world and to have capacity. It takes time. And we need to give ourselves that time to move through the layers of resiliency. And we have to hold and celebrate where we are, and also hold that there's more to do. We have to hold both of them, kind of like being the leader and being the student at the same time, right? And sometimes that gets a little uncomfortable as adults, because we're the leader. We're supposed to know everything. We're supposed to have it all together. And to be authentic and to be, just aligned and just have coherency, it's just better to just be vulnerable and to really acknowledge where you are.
Beautiful. And what stands out with this message as well, and as I said, you just said you took 20 years to heal, and there'll be people watching this who may have experienced PTSD, whose traumas remain with them. There'll be people who have chronic health challenges that they may have had for years without successful resolution. They all have done what you said. They all have prayed. They all have cried. They all have seen a therapist. They may have been to multiple therapists. They may have been self-medicating, and they'll have been doing all of these things to heal. But if they still do not yet have resolution, it is that step beyond that evolved healing where, and again, while you said it was the elements of, the body rubs, the journaling, the sweat lodge, the dancing, those are only a small aspect of the toolkit of finding self, of connecting to self and recognizing the enoughness within. And so I love the way that you gave a picture of some of the things that you did, but you also then take people to a deeper understanding of not only self, but the emotions that are stored in memory, as you said, and the healing that takes place when you go beyond just the busyness of everyday life and the condition itself into evoking a connection, a deeper connection, a place within where all healing takes place. Could you talk a little bit about when people do continue to needlessly suffer the chronic conditions and the long-term problems they have, frustrated by non-resolution with all of the other approaches that have taken, how that journey that you have gone through and that you can take them through brings a deeper sense of self and connection and thereby healing?
Yeah. Well, I'd say that they're on the path, and what is that new action, right? And a lot of it has to do with us, like jumping into our cultural blind spot. Why do I say that? Because there's so much in our culture that we have a value statement, and there's other value statements that other cultures have. And sometimes, like, I grew up Christian, like I said, I didn't know what a sweat lodge was. I didn't grow up meditating. That wasn't anything normal, and even it would have been blasphemy. It would have been pagan. It would have been, I would have, so I have to say that, like, I understand how it feels to do something that you've never done before. But when your healing is a priority, you do it. When you are done, you will finally do that hardest thing that you have feared because you didn't know anything about it. And so what I would say to folks is, you already know what you've done, but what haven't you done, right? And there does come a point where you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that is the hardest thing. when you're evolving, you're healing, and like for me, I just felt like I had nothing left. I had everything taken away from me. I had my job taken away from me. I couldn't go to my building. I was afraid to leave my apartment. Everything that society had given me in terms of, oh, you're living, your dreams in the Big Apple were gone. And I had like 1,000 deaths to my ego. So that rebirth that I feel like we're all on when we're going through this healing process is it's okay to lose. Like we need to, like that feeling of losing, right? Like there's a part of ourselves that we have to lose so that we can get another part of ourselves. Our how I could never imagine that I would be sharing my story and helping people with something that caused me so much pain and tears and survivor's guilt. I but it does, and it did. And so know that everything that you're going through is you releasing a part of yourself so you can have and experience and embody a whole other part of your health. And a lot of it has to do with expanding how we look at ourselves in this world. And that will take us step jumping into our cultural blind spots because it's not a cultural practice.
It's beautiful. And I love that because as a cultural wellness coach, I mean, many people will be familiar with being a health coach, a wellness coach, and many people have utilized these tools and these techniques, and whether it be their doctor, the medications they prescribe, their psychologist, the psychiatrist, the counselor, the massage therapist, the naturopath, the osteopath, the chiropractor, all of these opportunities to heal, and yet their condition persists. And if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. And if you have non-resolution, by bringing a diversity of understanding, a gift of an expanded toolkit that works at a deeper level and a deeper connection of not only understanding, but healing, is an incredible gift to release those bound memories that held onto pain. And which is why it's my last question. I'd love for you to share some of the, I guess, transformative experiences that have taken place. You've shared with yours, but when people work with you as a cultural wellness coach, as a wellness coach beyond the scope of the ordinary, the experienced within our Western paradigm, what types of outcomes do people experience, and what have people that you have worked with, what types of journey have they been on to get where they're at, so that people watching this can say, well, I have done that. I've seen all the other things that have been done, but I know that in reaching out to Annabel, as I reach into that playbook and connect with her and I read her book, I've got a new pathway. But what can I expect? What can I anticipate when I step boldly into that arena for my own healing?
Yeah, they can definitely expect to. I I definitely use ancient medicines to inform my practice, my intuition, and also my divine feminine power, which I think is something that is not embraced enough. Um, Most importantly, they get to be in tuned and really go deeper and understand the root cause of whatever the challenge is. And that I think has, I've seen in my clients, have exponentially helped them. It's helped them acknowledge, it's helped them move through challenges, and for them to celebrate where they are. Because I think that's really what we want. It's like, it's going to take time, but for you to take moment by moment each day and giving you those small moments of celebration and giving you that joy, and you acknowledging that the answers have been within you. You just needed someone to help you take off the layers and take off the conditioning and really I think that's what I've heard from my clients, and so I feel really honored that I could help them in that way. And like I always say, the practice is not alternative, it's ancient. So that might also help people as well. A lot of these modalities are called alternative in our culture, but they're actually ancient practices. And that's another way to reframe it, so that hopefully people are more comfortable.
And when we use that term ancient, we've got thousands, sometimes 8,000 years of historical evidence of the profound impact and the freedom they provide and the healing that results. And that is a gift that you profoundly bring in the work that you do. And again, I'm so grateful for your story, for the work that you have done to be able to do the work that you do. And everybody, those details are in the playbook. If you are looking for solutions to challenges that have not been addressed, if you have been resilient from a functional capacity but have not yet gone through those layers to find and evolve your healing so that you can claim back your life, here is your opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you all.